The steroid era, as it's called in baseball, was a time of yoked dudes smashing baseballs absurd distances. Even today, a generation or two after it closed, home runs are more sought after than ever before. But in the midst of a time where Jorgen von Strangle body doubles were out crushing tanks like there was no tomorrow, there was an imposter among them.
Wow. Mike, that is genuinely the worst joke you've ever made.
Nah, actually the Five Nights at Freddy's one might be worse. Emergency meeting time. Credit to Jay Kuda on Twitter for this one. There are 13 players in MLB history with 500 stolen bases and less than 500 strikeouts. These 12 guys, born in the 1850s and 1860s, before this drip god who was the first man to ever set foot on the South Pole was born, and Juan Pierre, who retired after the 2013 season and the invention of the Drake meme. Juan Pierre did not fit in his time whatsoever. This was a guy who got name-dropped in a song by Jay-Z, not one of those players who cheered and signed autographs for Al Capone. And that's amazing. But before we go any further...
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. Did you know that you have rights?
Alright, yeah, hey, how we doing? If you like this video, you're more than encouraged to subscribe, drop a like, do all those things that YouTubers usually say in the beginning of a video. We really wouldn't be here without that kind of support from you guys. Just throwing that out there. Oh yeah, and we also sell these shirts now. Oh, and this hoodie, too. I think they're pretty nice. If you want to get one for yourself, there's plenty of ways to do it. You could go to our spring link in the description, or you could see it on the channel itself store tab, probably even under this video. Okay, now that that's out of the way. Right from the start of his career, he was just a guy who did not make any sense. Having enough at-bats to finish 6th in the NL Rookie of the Year voting with the 2000 Rockies, Juan Pierre had just 2 of his 62 hits go for extra bases. No home runs. Not even a triple, which makes no sense considering he was really fast. 62 hits, 60 singles. He somehow managed to hit .310 with an OPS plus of 58. That means a guy good enough to be considered an elite hitter if you go by batting average was also considered just 58% as good as the average hitter around him. Through his age 22 season, the player in baseball history that he was most statistically similar to was 1902 NL batting average leader Ginger Beaumont. Year 2 saw a .327 batting average, 46 stolen bases, 12 more walks than strikeouts, and on-base and slugging percentages that would look really good until you remember this is the same year Barry Bonds hit 73 home runs. He was the kind of guy who just banked on putting the ball in play and being fast enough to make something happen with it, which just screams 1881. His closest statistical comparison through his age 23 season was Buttercup Dickerson, who was named Buttercup Dickerson. Juan Pierre is just such an outlier. His closest career statistical comparison is some guy named Clyde Milan. 2 guys born 90 years apart who both basically played like they were gonna ride to and from the stadium in a carriage. He is essentially like if you ported over a Civil War veteran MLB player and made him teammates with like Dontrell Willis. So you know what? For pretty much the rest of the video, Juan Pierre is going to be talked about and presented more in line with the guys he played like. It's a cool creative challenge for us, and by creating this aesthetic, is meant to represent just how vintage his playstyle really was. I did a practice voice in my car. You'll see why I'm even talking about this in just a second. Oh, and to make it more era appropriate. Juan Pierre had 6 seasons where he hit over 300, where he struck out no more than 1% more than he walked. You know who else did that? Bubbles Hargrave, that's who. Pierre played for 2 teams that wore purple or teal uniforms. Not enough plain, baggy white shirts with no logos or numbers on them for my liking. More stolen bases than strikeouts in 10 different seasons. Time to go see that new silent film from Poland Martin Scorsese still won't shut up about. He had 2 seasons with the Dodgers where he led all of baseball in bunt hits. 40 in that 2-year span. He once went over 2 calendar years without hitting a baseball over a fence, because he wanted to play like the guys from before baseball even had fences. And it's not like he missed very many games in that time. Juan Pierre once had a stretch where he didn't miss a game for 5 years. His career stolen base count is over 34 times higher than his career home run count. In other news, actors talk in motion pictures now. He led his league in singles 6 times. Home runs are for the big fatso from the Yankees. Singles win championships. In fact, 83.4% of his career hits were singles. You know who would have really appreciated that? Psychos from the olden times who wore fancy hats and overalls to outdoor daytime summer boxing matches. ISO is a stat that takes your career slugging percentage and subtracts your batting average from it. Basically a measure of how much a power hitter you are. Juan Pierre's is less than Chicken Wolf's, and virtually identical to Pickles Dillhofer's. He had 9 seasons leading his league in striking out the least. And that's good, because striking out is as bad as everyone in an old-timey ad makes their wife's coffee seem.
Honey, your coffee just doesn't taste any good.
Wait till that guy sees Andrew Tate on his For You page. He is the only outfielder ever to play in every game of a season and not make an error. He did that in 2006. His closest statistical comparison made his MLB debut in 1907. He batted .304 in 90 career playoff plate appearances, with twice as many walks as strikeouts. He retired with 2,217 career hits. Only 18 of them were home runs. For a 14-year career, he's actually the only player to have 2,200 career hits since the invention of the All-Star Game and never be in the All-Star Game. Because I guess he was never meant to play in something invented after 1905.
I can breathe now. So yeah, Juan Pierre was pretty awesome. Thanks, Adam, for the photographic evidence to prove this, but Stark Raving Sports also saw Juan Pierre in person in 2020 spring training with its own 2 eyes, or 4 eyes, because Matt was also there. He somehow brought back the baseball of 120 years before his time, just by playing the way he needed to play in order to succeed. There should always be a place for Juan Pierres in baseball. The game's better with guys like him in it. Alright, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. I meant what I said in the Ricky Henderson video, by the way. Love you, Juan Pierre.